Hello, everyone. Hello, for those that join us for the first time, this is Strength Discussion Series, episode 17. We'd like to just confirm that we're live on YouTube and Facebook. I need another confirmation that we're live on YouTube and Facebook, and we're set to go. Please, yes, we're live. Yes, Strength Africa Studio is live at the moment. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Great to have our guest in here. I'm going to be reading our profile shortly, and I'm hoping that we're going to be having an amazing time with Coach Anda Goseco, all the way from the Philippines. And she's going to be bringing to bear some of our insights, which is garnered over the last 12 years or thereabout in coaching, in human resources, and the rest. Okay. So yes. So Coach Anda is a certified professional coach with the International Coaching Federation and has been coaching and creating workshops for teams over a decade. Our goal is to give our clients value by being effective and efficient, pinpointing root causes, and providing solutions in a short amount of time. As an executive coach, she likes leaders. She takes leaders to the next level of success by uncovering and mastering their blind spots, which directly impacts their leadership effectiveness. She's known to ask tough questions, probing questions, balanced with humility, empathy, and respect, like solving a Rubik's cube. She can identify patterns. And she sees how pieces fit and find the right combination to unlock what leaders and team need to get them to the next level. She customizes and recalibrates each coaching session to get the best outcome. She has played various sports over the years and has integrated valuable sports lessons like how to stay focused on your goal and taking control of the complex environment around us. Coach Anda is, she has, I believe, is to face our fear, challenges, boundaries, and use our unique strengths to be able to create maximum impact in all our leadership roles. Our roles in marketing, sales, and human resources in different industries gives her a clear picture of the complexities of an organization, the challenges of a leader, and the barriers to effective team. She has over 1,800 coaching hours, and she has experienced coaching leaders from various industries, to name a few: telecoms, pharmaceutical, media, hotels, consumer goods, and even banking, IT, consulting. Whoa, the list is endless. He co-founded the International Women Coaching (IWC), amazing platform and the leading team. All right, IWC focuses on empowering women through one-on-one coaching and workshops. And we're going to be getting a glimpse of that today. The leading team is also a think tank that helps entrepreneurs achieve specific business goals through group coaching. She has launched a YouTube series on our coaching, on a YouTube series on our Coach Anda Goseco channel, where she interviews global thought leaders who share their ideas and insights on creating a highly engaging environment at work. The title of the series is Leading Great Workplaces with Coach Anda. Ladies and gentlemen, this lady is full of so much energy. Welcome to this strength discussion series. It's the 17th, if I'm right, 17th strength discussion series in this year, 2021, at the Strength Africa studio with a rousing applause, virtual applause. Welcome today, Coach Anda Goseco. Whoa, whoa. How are you?
Doing
How
good.
are you, my coach?
Doing very good. Thank you for
Please,
inviting me today. I really am very excited to just talk with you and share my insights with the rest of the people who are watching in Africa. Hello,
awesome.
Africa.
Hello, Africa. And I just love that. every guest has a different personality. And I just love how we're starting off today with Coach Anda. And, she just remembers the constituency and the mandate of Strength Africa as a people and a support company. So we're saying, hey, hello, Africa. Yes, yes, yes. And we're going to be talking about strengths. Today is the Strengths Discussion Series, episode 17, essentially geared towards helping people discover, develop, and deploy their strengths to the best, best use and claim an extraordinary life. Okay. So, Coach Anja, just listening, I'm sure those that were listening probably had 1,800 hours of coaching. I also heard things around ICF, IWC. Please, can you just give us, an inkling into this journey about, yes, 1,800 hours of coaching, the IWC, and then the ICF, just in summary. Mm.
Mhm. So yeah, my coaching journey started back in 2010, 2010. So that's
Mm.
been 11 years ago. But before that, I was in corporate. I was doing marketing, I was doing sales, and I was also in HR as well. So the
Wow.
combination of all that corporate experience, what was common about it is I was always working with people. Let's say in sales, I was selling products for people. In marketing, I was creating strategies. In HR, obviously, that's with people also as well. But with all of that, as part of my journey as well, I was looking for something more. And I felt that the impact that I could do is really with one-on-one coaching with people. So I came across what coaching was that time. And that time, it wasn't so popular in the Philippines, especially executive coaching. And as you know, there are different branches of coaching. And this particular one was a challenge in the beginning because not too many people knew about it. They thought it was something like counseling. But right now, fast forward to like 3 years ago, coaching has really started booming here in the Philippines. I'm so really happy that so many of us are helping many leaders and people with what we do. So
Wow.
when I discovered coaching, what I liked about it is being able to help others. So if you look at my strengths profile, my number one is individualization. So I think that I've always been good in reading people um, in meetings or just in even in a party or just meeting someone for the first time. I can kind of sense what the person's like by what they say, how they are, and that really helps me when I coach leaders. So if you ask me what my strength is, it's really being able to uncover blind spots of leaders and teams. And my specialty really is on teams as well. So I help leaders just think about, especially for this year, what is their people strategy? And a lot of leaders have come up to me asking me, how do I influence my team? How do I drive engagement? Or how do I create an alignment with what I want them to do and what they want to do also and what the organization wants them to do. So common questions like that has really helped me also kind of develop um, surefire way to help leaders and their teams. And I love doing that really, and that's why I took strengths as well. And I got to be a certified strengths coach 4 years ago. So I took it outside the Philippines, and I've been using that as one of my main tools in coaching ever since. So I also do workshops for strengths, and aside from that, I also have other workshops supporting leaders and teams.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. So tell me a bit about the IWC.
Hmm.
Um, the IWC, and that's I'm taking a few notes, but just so that we're in a flow. And for those that are joining us for the first time, this is Strength Discussion Series. We have Coach Anda Goseco from the Philippines, and she's been so gracious to share with us this afternoon, and we're going to be going on a roller coaster. Just sit back and relax. So please, Coach, can you tell us about the IWC and maybe just tell us around your 1,800 hours with
Okay.
regards to coaching?
Yeah, so I started IWC during the pandemic. So we started it March. So it was an idea over coffee. I was talking to one of the people I used to work with, and I was telling her that I wanted to start a community to be able to help other women out there. So in Manila we have like maybe a few communities like for women, for moms, for executives, and I saw that there was a way to be able to help them as coaches. So from the two of us talking about it over coffee, we decided to expand it to eight of us. So there are six other coaches who joined us, and ever since the pandemic, since March started here, when we did the lockdown, we've been offering free workshops for women, focus on different topics like self-compassion, being able to be vulnerable, self-care. So different challenges of women also. And because we are all women coaches, we knew also um, what the needs of our community was, and so we were just willingly able to give that for free also.
Whoa, amazing. So this has taken you to a new level. And I'm sure there's an organization that I'm part of. It's called the Phenomenal African Woman Foundation. Um, and that organization essentially seeks to inspire, celebrate, and empower women.
Nice.
So I'm sure they will be contacting you. They'll be contacting you to see how this one-on-one coaching, can also be extended, particularly to those in Africa.
Mm.
And I'm sure your team would be able to find something around
Yeah.
that. And this is so amazing how the effects of the pandemic, the COVID-19, has brought up a whole new trade as to what is new, as to how people work, as to new innovations, insights, and even information. So I strongly believe that it's a yeah, there's a downside to it, but there's also a blessing to what has happened. So please, can you started off telling us around about your strengths, your top five. You
Yeah.
started off with the individualization, but can you please roll out some of your other strengths, just so that, and whilst you roll it out, just tell us, or rather, please, pardon me, can you tell us how you got into this point where you start to talk about strength? Because I'm
Mm.
sure it didn't happen overnight. And
Yeah.
whilst you do that, yeah, please tell us how you got into strength.
Okay. So well, first, how I got into strengths was 10 years ago.
Mm.
So they were selling the hardbound small red book of StrengthsFinder. I think now they changed the name of the program to Clifton Strengths, but at that time it was called StrengthsFinder. And someone I knew gave it to me as a gift, and I filled it up. I liked it a lot, but I felt that although it was good, I mean, I acknowledged that that was me. And at the time, I think I was searching for what was the right career for me. And so fast forward to 4 years ago, when I took the certification, I read about it. I said, I remember that book, and that book also had some impact on me because it was able to help me acknowledge who I was as a person and what I was good at. And the workshop was very different. I was very surprised to find out that, there are strengths where you're using it very well, but sometimes you also have to intelligently use your strengths, because sometimes our triggers can make us use our strengths also in a way that's not helpful for us. So that was very powerful, and I saw that how that can help individuals, and how that can also affect teams as well. So yeah, so I really like the power of the whole strengths workshop, and the many different ways to be able to just expand on your strengths and use it intentionally. So my strengths never really changed from 10 years ago. So my first strength is individualization. My next one is positivity. And then I have empathy, and I have woo. Woo is, for those who don't know, it's winning others over. So I like to be able to influence other people and win them over. And the last one is connectedness. So everything happens for a reason. I try to always connect the dots. And even my coaching, that has been very powerful, because I'm able to really try to see where that person was coming from, how is it connected to everything, where he or she was and where she's going. So
Mm.
put it, seeing that whole picture. I'm always also big picture thinking. So connectedness helps me really see the bigger picture, the bigger story.
Wow. Now, earlier on, and that's amazing, because I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, how is this lady able to um, just roll out her top five strengths, and, if you join in, it's clearly how you also must come to an awareness as to what truly, how you are and who you are. So
Mhm.
there are several personality tests. But the uniqueness of the strength test endears us to beyond just having a glimpse as to your personality. It also points towards your behavior, and that's one of the things that Anda has been able to roll out. I noticed whilst we started the introduction, and I also saw it in your profile that you help deal with blind spots. Okay, so I'm intrigued. Like every other person on this set this afternoon here in West Africa, is to say, hey, what then do you mean by blind spots? And so, just tell us as to what does this mean, and how this does this relate to leadership or being effective at work.
Mm. Well, if you think about it, that's why it's called blind spots, because you're blind to it or you don't see it. But
Mm,
I've discovered also in my coaching conversations that I can help people uncover it and realize what they've been probably avoiding, what they're not facing. And
mm,
I think they kind of know that also, but then it's that if you don't want to face it or look at it, then it's not out there, and you're not able to acknowledge it. So I think what is important about blind spots is it helps you also, if you master it, it helps you be able to really take out the blocks or barriers. It could be to performance, could be to decision making, could be also how the way you see people or build your relationship. So it's important to know what are the things that are affecting me as a person. And the way I do that is several ways to uncover your blind spots. One is feedback. So being able to hear feedback from the people you work with. Let's say I work with a leader, and we call it stakeholder feedback, where the peers, the boss, and the team members of the leader give them feedback. And my role also as a coach is to help the leader understand the value of feedback. And
mm,
I just want to give a tip for those who have a hard time receiving feedback. One question that will help you is, what is the value of this feedback to me? Or how can this feedback help me? Because a lot of times when we receive feedback, maybe we don't want to hear it, so we push it away, or we become very defensive. So before you do that, take a step back and start thinking, what value will this give me, or how will this help me as a person, or how will this help me as a leader? And just being grateful and thankful even to the person who gave you that feedback. So it's another way of looking at feedback. Another way also to uncover blind spots is maybe there are things that you've been noticing on how you respond to certain situations, or how you've been stuck, and how you've also been stuck in certain situations as well, and maybe you don't want to face it. So let's say you're someone, let's say using your strengths, you're very like you're like a leader, you're out there, you're aggressive, and that's really really good. But the thing is, if you really look at the reality of it, if it's not balanced, you can also be hurting other people. You could be judging them also. So to be able for you to see the effect of that is for you to just notice what's happening around you, or notice the
mm,
effect that you have on other people, and just sit with it. And like I said, just be okay with it, because these are opportunities to grow. I think sometimes when there's discomfort, we try to avoid it. But in discomfort, like you read earlier that I played sports, right? And
mm,
sometimes when you play sports, you're pushed to the limits also. But if you stop at a certain point, then you're not going to be a good athlete, or you're not going to be able to play well. So it's the same in leadership as well, or same as a person. If you stop yourself from that point of feeling uncomfortable to the point of, oh, I'm uncomfortable, what is it about this feeling, and where is it coming from? Then if you're able to explore that and sit with it, maybe these are areas for growth, and maybe these are the areas that are not helping you in your life, either as a leader or even outside that as well. So that's one thing, also to be able to sit with those um, barriers, the inconsistencies that you see. I'm sure you all know that, but maybe it's something that you don't want to face as well. Other ways to discover blind spots is, let's say if you look at the list of competencies, or a list of behaviors. So I like using actually Marshall, if you're familiar with Marshall Goldsmith, he is one of the top leadership thinkers of the world, also one of the top 10 coaches of the world as well. And he has this book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And it's a best-selling book and one of my favorites also. So if you look at it, there is a list of 20 ineffective behaviors of leaders. It's a nice thing to look at, but when you look at the list, you have to be able to look at it and assess yourself where in the list am I not being an effective leader, and just admitting that to yourself. So a lot of it is really just, again, sitting with it, admitting it, for you to be able to see it.
Wow. Wow. And that's expository, and this thing you talk about feedback. Feedback is very key. In fact, I'm part of a group called the Toastmasters,
Mm-hmm.
and we hear that feedback is the breakfast of champions. Is there like a noise? Is there like a background noise on? Can you hear me well?
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Okay, great. Okay, so yes, so for me, feedback plays a key role, and in fact, that's the essence of life. Just to be able to also sift through the positive and negative, because there are certain feedbacks that are not enriching, or they seem to be critical, and they
Mm.
don't address, helping you to improve yourself. And that's truly profound. I recall in one of our discussions you talked about, and this is tying it down to your knack for sports, and the need for people to stay focused on a goal. So can you talk more as to this bit of staying power, right? Being focused on a goal on one bit, and then the element of resilience, because the pandemic has left us with a whole new way of having to interact and deal. But I believe that borrowing messages or lessons, okay, from your foray into the sports arena and the principles you've garnered, you could better guide us as to how to have staying power as a team or as an individual, and how we can build resilience as a team or an individual at work.
Mm. Okay, so similar to sports, what motivates teams, and in individual sports as well, like, there's tennis where you are just an individual. It's important to be very clear on what your purpose is, or why you're playing the game, or why you're a
Mm,
leader in this organization. So the why is
mm,
very important. It's interesting because as I coach top leaders in the organization, you think that these are people who'd be very clear on their purpose. But I think that if life gets in the way, you get very busy, it sometimes gets confusing what your purpose really is. I think it's in the back of your head. But what's important is to be intentional about, this is the way I want to live my life, and this is what's important for me. And how do I become more of that, especially at work? Because we spend a lot of time at work also, but not just at work, but at home also. So how do I become more intentional about it? How do I practice that? What are the habits I need to create to be able to become that person, in that the person that I want to be? So for me, it starts with that. It starts with purpose, and that purpose is tied up to who you are as a person, your values, your strengths, and the impact that you want to create. For me, I just did a workshop recently on this, and some people get scared with the word purpose, or thinking about what's the best way to even write the purpose. So it's not for anyone, but for yourself. That's one thing you have to remember about writing your purpose. And when you're able to be clear on that, it's like a compass, it's a guide, it's like your North Star. You're able to make better decisions, filter out the ones that are not helping you, and just move towards the goal. So I think as a leader, and applying that to sports again, so athletes, especially athletes who are really good, or people who play for a team that wins all the time, are very focused on who they are as a team, or who they are as a person, and what their purpose is. And I think it has to be very clear to organizations also, or leaders with teams, to be very clear about, who are we, who am I, and how do I contribute to that purpose. A lot
mm,
of times, people do like a top-down approach, where this is the purpose, this is how it's supposed to be, But it shouldn't be just one way. It should also be both ways as well. So let's say, okay, this is our idea of what the organization should be. This is what the team should be. As a leader, this is how I see it. But you also have to be able to ask them, so what's your purpose and how does it relate to this bigger goal? Because I've always believed that you can't tell people what to do. I mean, you can tell them what to do, people will follow, but if it's not compelling enough, you won't be able to see XXX number of results. So you won't be able to multiply your results, because if they're very intentional, or if they're very engaged and compelled to be with you in your vision or your purpose as well, and if it's all unified and put together, for them it's going to give them meaning, and they'll want to do it every single day. So
Wow.
I've worked a lot with teams. I've developed, although coaching, it's a mix of, I don't do a mix of actually coaching and mentoring already in my sessions. But there's already kind of like some formula that I use to be able to build those kinds of teams. And the results really are wonderful, because the teams that I've built or help leaders build, when leaders come to me, they are actually more proactive. They're more, like I said, compelled to do the vision. They're more engaged as well. They're accountable for their actions. They're more solutions focused, and it's kind of easy to get there. But I think the hard part is the doing. Like, you have to be intentional about it every single day. And the question is, you, I know you want it as a leader, but are you willing to do the work, to be intentional about it, to build to that vision or purpose that you want to do? So that involves a lot of communicating with the team, aligning with them, doing coaching sessions, putting that all together. And if you do that more intentionally and more frequently, you will be able to just really align with them more and achieve your purpose together. So yeah, connected to going back to sports again, I think that's what makes athletes succeed as well. They have a very clear purpose, a vision. They know what they need to be. They know what it takes to be successful to get there. So I think it has to be very clear to the leader and to the teams that they work with on what that is.
Wow. Well, and one of the things you said that just took me off my seat was almost literally was the thing you said about, it's about being intentional. It's about doing. And I just realized that with all the discussions that we're going to have, with everything that we keep doing, if we don't get to the point where we do, as in we take action, or we execute, as a lot of people would like to say, it's almost a bloody waste of time. Pardon my French. So, and this truly is the essence of why we also need to discover our strengths, because, and if we know who we are more inclined to be able to tailor ourselves or lead ourselves in the best way possible to achieving some of our goals and what do I say, our purpose, as the case may be. So, taking this further, um, can you please share as to, and what, when you say dive in deeper, because I'd come to understand, you have this concept as to uh, how, so we've come to a point of awareness, we've come to a point of, that point where we're developing ourselves, we're leaning on towards achieving our goals, we're working concertedly to achieve those results. But there's a place called there, a better outlook. So can you tell us how you dip deeper with some of your clients, and what lessons can we learn, as business people that are set as coaches? What lessons can we learn from those moments when you dig deeper, all right, or dive deeper into conversations with your clients?
Yeah. So I want to say that if there's a challenge that you have, you can be overwhelmed with many other thoughts connected to the challenge. So maybe one question you can ask yourself is, what do I need to focus on? Or what's important for me today? So when you're able to ask that question, you're able to filter out all the other thoughts and going on in your mind and focus on what's really important about this issue.
Mm.
So when you go into that, what's important to know also is that um, I call it, if I don't know if you've heard of the iceberg model, but I have
Yeah.
my own version of that, right? So at the tip
Okay.
of the iceberg, you see the problem, right? But at the bottom of it, there's so many things that are under it, right?
Of
So
it.
so many
Yes.
stories, so many things, so many
Beliefs,
beliefs
attitude.
that
Yeah.
are working that are not working for you. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so the way I want to look at it is that at the top of the iceberg, at the tip that you only see above water, yeah, are sort of like the outcomes. The outcomes. So let's say I was helping a leader before, and he was very stressed at work because he was feeling overwhelmed. So overwhelmed is like the outcome, is a result of a certain of an action. So the outcome is like an action, but behind every action, what you need to remember is the person behind it. So you have to be able to dig deep. Why is that person overwhelmed? What's causing it? What are the beliefs causing that also? And so a lot of them also are sometimes false beliefs or beliefs that we've carried on all these years that may not be working for us anymore. That's why we act this way. So this person I was helping, he realized that as I dug deeper, he realized that he was being a perfectionist and he wanted to be able to talk to everyone in that single hour where he had to work on a very important project. So anyone would call him, would send him a message, or would email him, he'd talk to that person, and it's impossible. And I was saying, if you know it's impossible, why do you still do it? What's causing that? And he realized it's his belief about I have to be perfect. And I feel like I'm responsible for it. So like I said, everything in balance. You can't realistically, you can't do it all at that 1 hour. So you'll have to be able to choose. You have to be able to think about also maybe how you're seeing responsibility. Like you feel like you're the only one who can answer that question, or it's so important that you are the one who answers it. So you have to be able to let certain things go. Like be realistic and say, okay, maybe I can choose a few things now, but realistically I can't answer them all. And maybe be able to turn it down for a while and get back to it later on. So that really was like a big aha moment for him and a turning point when he realized that that's what was causing it. So all of these things we're just talking about now are all a part of the big iceberg. So don't look at the outcomes and the actions. So that's the end result. Look at what's the story behind that. So everyone has a story.
Wow. And and this is, and I'm glad at what you just shared. And I can't over re-emphasize this because this kind of constantly crops up in some of the discussions we have with other coaches as to the inner deal, evolves into the external. And so it just starts from within. Just so that we don't make this too much of a, how do I call it now? A psychological discussion, because most of the people that will probably be listening to this will be talking about the numbers. So tell us the tie-in. How do you say, for instance, understanding your strengths? How does it affect your productivity? How does it affect your profit? How does it affect your performance? Okay. Can you just throw in more light, because I'm like someone saying, why do I need a coach? How does this turn down to numbers? How does this give me a better life?
Yeah.
Yeah, so please share some of your insights around that.
Yeah. So if you focus on your strengths as a leader,
Mm,
it helps you also focus on the things that you're naturally good at. And in strength, we say that the more you do something that you're naturally good at, the stronger it becomes. And
mm,
a lot of times, though, we have, I think we can kind of compare ourselves with other people or we want to be this and that. But I think that focus also, and going back to what I was said earlier, that you need to create your own North Star. You need to be
mm,
able to have your own way of really defining who you are and kind of like finding ways to just be intentional about it and doing and using your strengths even more. So
mm,
as a leader, if you look at your top 5 strengths, you can think of it yeah, there's many questions that come with it. So let's say daily you can ask yourself, I'm handling a difficult situation right now. And looking at my top strengths, what's the combination I can use to make that happen? Or let's
Mm,
say also, if I'm entering into a meeting, which of my strengths do I need to use to be able to make the outcome of this meeting really productive?
mm,
So it's asking yourself specific questions like that. Or maybe also ask, yeah, let's say if you want to be able to achieve a goal and
mhm,
you be very strategic about it. So you think about which of my strengths do I need to bring up more and use more, and which of my strengths maybe I need to tone down a little bit also. So it's like it's really that balance, and when you're very aware of it, you know how to use it in different situations. And it's very
great.
powerful actually if you know what your team's strengths are. So the strengths of your team. And when you're
Mm,
able to do that, um, so you mentioned the psychology part. Psychology is also important because you have to be able to know where are they operating from. So people absorb things differently, they learn differently, they do things differently. And because you know that everyone is different from each other, knowing what your the individuals of your team and knowing what their strengths are, then you can create specific people strategies for each of the members of your team. But you can also look at the strengths collectively and knowing that how can I create a collective people strategy for the people in my team, and that's powerful because who will achieve the goals? The people in the organization. So you have to
mm.
your people strategy has to be always in tandem with your business strategy as well. Because without that, if you don't have a strong people strategy, the goals working alone, that's not even possible. You need people working with the goals. So you have to think about what's the best strategy I can use to really maximize the strength of my team. I want to share also that sometimes when we look at the people in our team, and we look at them more of okay, you do this, you do that, but before you do any of that, you have to think about what are this person's strengths, how do I use this person's strengths in this activity or what we're going to do or in the roles that they have. So I was attending a workshop the other day with Marcus Buckingham, who was one of the pioneers really in strengths, and he was saying that it's like you have a chess piece. So if you have a queen, a king, you have to know how to move those chess pieces to be able to
Mhm.
win the game. So I like his analogy about using the chess pieces, and I think you can think of that as well. So the king cannot be the queen, or the queen cannot be
The
the role of
bishop.
the king. Yeah, or the bishop. So all of them have different roles. So
Yeah.
what? So knowing each other's the different roles of the chess pieces, how do you
Mm.
put it together to make the teamwork collectively together to leverage on each other's strengths?
And and that's the beautiful analogy, I must say, Coach Anda. The moment you just use that analogy, I started to play in my head, I
Chess piece.
started to see myself as a piece on a
Yeah,
chess,
yeah.
as in, okay, and that's the real thing about this old strength that we're talking about. And so can people just come to terms with the fact that I'm this way, okay? And your understanding of who you are further, helps you to be able to appreciate those that you are working with. And whoever is playing that game, okay, even as a company. So if it's an organization, you have a team lead, and then the team lead probably is in charge of the chessboard, right? He
Mm-hmm,
has the pieces.
mm-hmm,
So I'm just using this as an analogy. He should be able to use those pieces effectively, but it comes from a point of also knowing. Okay, so if it's to the extent that we can even know the pieces on the board to be able to play effectively and achieve results or winning results, how much more when we run organizations and we don't even know about the pieces, the individuals, all right, down the board of play.
yeah,
This is
exactly. So
profound.
yeah, so what if you didn't know that the role of the queen is like that, or the bishop is like that, or the rook is like that? Then you don't know how to move your pieces, right? So how will you even achieve success, or how do you win as a team? So there has
Oh,
to be a strategy. You have to be able to just know how to use those pieces. So my challenge, if there are leaders out there listening, is do you know your chess pieces? Do you know your team?
correct. Do you
Know how
know
to
your
use their
team?
strengths. Are you using their strengths? Are you more of a person who just kind of commands or tells them what to do. So there's a
Mm,
difference there. Well, of course, there's a combination that you can still use that, but are you using that other side where you're really
mm.
thinking about them as an individual, right?
Great, great.
Mm.
And sorry, I'm not, I'm so excited about this analogy because it's just playing in my head. And
Yeah.
every of the piece on the board has a role to play.
Mhm.
Okay, and even the pawn can become a queen at some instance, I get. But the reality is that the pawn, even as small as it is, and it seems to be insignificant, is also critical to the game. It's
Mm.
very critical to the game. And
Mhm.
so it's just for us to understand that everybody plays a key role, and everybody is uniquely gifted. And I love
Yeah.
that your strength that delves into individualization and tying it into connectedness. Can you please, begin to tell us, as we start to, bring this to a close, what your thoughts are and how you've used those strengths. Now, please, 1 minute. For those that are joining us, this is the Strength Discussion Series. I don't know whether it's launcher or whatever, wherever you are listening. And if you're watching the replay, I have Coach Anda Goseco from the Philippines. She's tried and trusted. She's done 1,800 hours of coaching. You don't want to even understand. And she's doing even more because I understand at this level now, she's at the PCC, if I'm right, at the International Coaching Federation grading. And that's the international body that, certifies coaches, literally or globally. And she's gone in from the MCC, almost like she's becoming an expert. And she's giving us some wonderful insight. And one of the things that has truly also just taken me to a new level is the analogy around the chessboard. I can't even work it out even in this discussion. So please, let's just get back to the question: individualization and connectedness. How have you been able to use this effectively to be able to, lead your team or to coach your clients?
Yeah. So when I coach leaders in organizations, I'm able to see patterns. I'm able to read them. I'm able to see what's important for them. And one thing they always tell me is it's how I'm able to just pick the important parts of what they are saying, because they can be saying so many things. So how do you know which ones to pick, right? And the right questions to ask. So I'm able to formulate those right questions because I have a sense of what's important for them. So I think that perception, being perceptive about it, being able to just sense what's going on, not just with them, but how it's affecting their environment around them as well. And
Mm,
so I use that together with, of course, there's empathy. So I have a lot of influencing strengths, and I have a lot of relationship building strengths, and that's why I'm a coach. And so the empathy, of course, is understanding where they're coming from, empathizing with them. But if you go through a coaching session with me, I'm actually a tough coach, and I'll ask you difficult questions, and probably questions you've never asked yourself, because I just want what's the best for you. And if there are questions maybe that you've been afraid to ask yourself, I ask you those questions, and I want to say that I ask tough questions with empathy. So because people might be afraid of that, what kind of tough questions are those? But for me, it's questions that are good for you. It helps you zoom out to see where you are and where you're going as a leader. And so with connectedness, it's I use that all together because I have a strength called connectedness. And I think in my past life, if I had another life or I was doing another job, I think I'd be in like the CIA with forensics. So reading profiles of people. And so I think it's just being able to put the puzzle pieces, planning the next move, or knowing where, kind of predicting where they are and where they're going to go. So yeah, and there's a lot of course, validation and trying to find out, is it really what I'm seeing? Is it really what is going on? All right. So and if you look at my logo over there, you see the Coach Anda CNA. Yeah, it's actually a Rubik's cube. So for those who are not familiar with the Rubik's cube, it's that cube where you have many colors, right? So you
mm,
have to try to find the one color per each side. And so I feel like I'm that problem solver, and the Rubik's cube is the person that I'm coaching, where I try to find what combination? Is this a combination? Is that the combination? Which is the combination to unlock the puzzle piece? So I see people as maybe puzzles in the beginning, or you can see yourself as a puzzle because it's things are not clear. But I help just compartmentalize things. I help you things clear, see things clear. I'm able to streamline the process, and I use all my strengths to put that together.
Oh, amazing. And you know, this is what we're talking about. And so, if you've not done the strength test, I'm sure my team they're here. There's a link, and we're going to be the Strength Africa Limited. We're going to be a year old on the 17th, and so we're having like a special strength discussion series, and it's also going to extend to a webinar of some sort. If you're available, you can also join us. But the whole essence is that we've started this journey, and we've constantly, we will not relent in sharing these messages, to just ensure that it gets to whoever needs to hear it, because um, there seems to be a lot of noise, particularly in my own environment, and I am sure it's everywhere in the world, where people are chasing things, all right, when things are meant to chase us, and you, you know, and I don't want to get a bit esoteric. I also don't want to get into the visualization, and all of those bits around the mind, and how the mind can be projected to achieve great things. But I believe that if more and more people are aware of their power, the innate power, the resident power, then we can achieve even greater feats. We can achieve greater feats. And the guy that knows about himself, or the woman that knows about himself or herself rather, is best able to project things positively, and that collectively affects everyone.
Mm.
Coach, and I don't even know where to begin to think of how to wrap this up, but because you've just opened, my mind to a whole lot of possibilities. We've talked about, a bit around psychology. We delved into the coaching terrain. We moved on around the what led to the think tank around the IWC. Somehow, well, we've also jiggled around your various interactions with clients, asking tough questions. What I also love was the issues around the blind spots, and how feedback is critical, in helping to shape how we are effectively able to achieve greater results. And you took us well on that journey. You also helped us to further understand the iceberg effect, but you came on with your own model, and you said, look, let's drill down. But one of the things that, and you already know what is most fascinating for me, and I'm sure whoever is listening will be able to recap, because I heard you intently across everything you discussed. I was so focused taking notes, and one of the things you said, it was your interactions with, you said, one of the co-founders, and where you talked around the chessboard. Wow, that for me is my own icing on the cake. And I can't even thank you enough for bringing this to life, because I'm already going to work on. You can already tell the kind of person I am now. Going by my strengths from strategic, and where I deliberate, and I see things significantly. I'm also going to be able to understand, because there's also a mystery around, symbols, around even the game called the chess game. And if you're able to, if you are the player, if you're able to situate your mind well enough by also coming or being able to understand where the next person is moving. So there are different levels. So the first level, as my mind is ideating right now, is that there's still a play of pieces, all right? So those guys are working towards profit, all right? But there's a second level, the guys that are working, towards purpose, all right? So those are the players. But there seems to be also, look, Coach
No,
Anda,
but I like the way you're thinking. There are levels to it, and the
there's
more
a
aware
level.
you are, then the better strategies you can help your team with. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And so look, we can't even exhaust this. So maybe at some point we'll call ourselves up to some session. We'll look for a name to call it, where people can just begin to go crazy over thoughts and ideas. And maybe that will help people just open up. I can't thank you enough. If technical is available, can we have the display of Coach Anda's details? Because look, she's brought to bear so many things. And I'm sure that you just might want to get in touch with that. And whoever is listening, this is the Strength Discussion Series. This is episode 17, right here from the Strength Africa studio. So you can reach out to our guest, Coach Anda Goseco, a certified professional coach. She's been coaching for over 11 years, 1,800 hours, okay? And all our details are there. Please rush in to follow her. Yes. So, Coach, in case any, and I'm sure at some point people will get in touch with you. Once they mention the name Strength Africa, please be kind to give them a discount. So please, can you give us your closing statements, your closing motivational, inspiring, statements? Yes.
Well, let's take off from the chess piece because that's what inspired you for today. Our favorite analogy for today. So, as a leader, you really need to be able to first be clear with who you are as a person and
Mm,
be able to know the direction that you want to take and not
mm,
let a lot of distractions or noise get in the way. Because if that gets in the way, then you don't become clear to the people that you lead. So
mm,
I think start with yourself, and then the
mm,
second part is really looking at the people that you're leading as chess pieces,
mm,
where you can really win the game when you know their strengths, when
mm,
you're intentionally thinking about what each person is good at,
mm,
and maximizing what they can do. So maybe you kind of touch a little about of it, but you don't have not seen the possibilities. So there are many possibilities, there are many moves that they can make. There are many ways to go about it. So I think it's important to think about that as a team. And if once you do that, you're really harnessing the power and the potential of the team that you probably never seen before. And I'd love to have a discussion with any of you who reach out to me, send me an email or connect with me in LinkedIn, and we can even have a discussion about it because I love creating people strategies for people. So the one last thing I want to say is for 2021 in this year of it's still the pandemic, so think about what is my people strategy, right? So
mm,
and really link that to the business strategy. So you have to be able to think about um, who is my team or what kind of a team do I want and what kind of goals do we want to achieve together and what is our unique people strategy.
mm. Great. Whoa. What? So, and I don't want to drag this on, but I'm intrigued about. Can you just tell people if all our audience something about the people strategy? Just anything that comes to mind, and we'll wrap this up.
Okay, so I help actually companies do that, and I also help small groups to group coaching do that as well. So one way to think about that is um, thinking about your team and thinking about the way they are and how they are. So what do you think is the best people strategy that can motivate them, that can make them successful, that can really leverage their strengths? So what would that people strategy look like? Some of the people that I've coached have come up with specific ones, like I want to focus on on communication, so could lead to something like themes like that, or I want to be able to work on, let's say, influencing others. So many things that are part of being part of a team. So you have to think about what are those components, and the very important part is come up with specific action steps. So let's say if it has to do with communication, you have to think of, I like working with the number 3 because it's very focused. It's easy to remember. If you think of 10 different things, you're going to forget it. So maybe think of 3 impactful strategies that you can already apply right now. It's something achievable. It's something that's going to really create impact. It's something that will help change the team as well. And with that, and with after you've defined that, what the action steps are, come up with measures. So I love coming up with measures. So maybe let's say on communication, I need to be able to get feedback more often or something like that. So if it's feedback, where am I in terms of feedback on a scale of 1 to 10? So if you honestly rate yourself a 5 out of 10, in the next 3 months, what's my goal? Do I want to be an 8 out of 10 in the next 3 months? So every month you check on yourself. Was I able to do that? And a closer way to monitor yourself is, was I able to do that today as I end my day? Was I able to communicate better? Was I able to give feedback? Was I able to listen to feedback better? Was I able to manage the way I come across people? Was I able to control my emotions? So yeah, so you have to be able to ask it at the end of the day and at the beginning of the day. My other tip is, when you wake up in the morning, be intentional and tell yourself, this is the leader that I want to be. This is the kind of people strategy that I want. And when you're intentional about it, the rest of your day is going to look like that. And you want to get better and better at it. So every single day you ask yourself, what did I do well? What can I do better? And what do I need to do differently? So asking yourself those questions just improves the process over and over as you do it every single day. So small micro actions make it easier for you. It doesn't have to be a big action that's going to overwhelm you. It can be just these small micro techniques or micro behaviors is going to make that change happen.
Wow, profound. And I'm just going to go and watch the replay because you bundled up a whole lot there. But that piece I heard was those small micro actions. The little drops of water make a mighty ocean. We can't thank you enough, Coach Anda. You have just been brilliant, and you are beautiful and honestly boisterous. With the way you've shared with us, it's clear that you know your onions. And without a doubt, believe that we are also going to be having more discussion. And remember, this is to open you to Africa. So just know that you already have a branch of Coach Anda services here, here in Abuja, where we're beaming from at the Strength Africa Studios. I like to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we truly appreciate you. And I'm sure our audience.
Can I add one more thing?
Yes, please.
Something that might help them. So I have a YouTube channel, Coach and Goseco.
Okay.
And if you go there, I've been interviewing global thought leaders around the world on how to lead great workplaces. So if you're curious about how do I engage my team, what are the different tips used by these people around the world, and they're actually best-selling authors. They're from the States. There was one from Russia. There's people around the world. So I've just started in April, but every month I post at least 2 videos. So that might help you if you take a look at that.
Wow. Great, great, great. So the team is saying, thank you, Coach, and great conversation so far. It's been awesome, and so thank you, thank you, thank you. So guys, this has been an interesting episode. You just know every episode has its unique, delivery and new insights. So I've taken on a few, but you already know what stands out for me, and which I'm going to go into expose on is the chess ball. So I look forward to seeing you all this on this same platform, and wherever you're logging in from. It's 2 p.m. West African time, and so YouTube, Facebook, Zoom, just name it. We're here, and we'll be here next Thursday with episode 18. And in fact, I don't want to even begin to talk about the coach for episode 18. You get the details from us shortly, but it's already framed. So please join us next week. And I like to end with this parting statement. You have it in you, so play to your strengths. Thank you, Coach Anda. See you all next week. Bye.